Welcome to 6-7 using percents equations. Our two objectives today are to solve percent problems using percent equations, and we're also going to solve real-world problems involving discount and interest. So as we usually begin, let's look over some of the key terms. Percent equation. Percent equation is an equivalent form of the percent proportion in which the percent is written as a decimal. And this is something that you definitely got to remember, is that we're going to do a little bit of work that we learned in the past, how to change percents into decimals. The equation that we'll be using is part is equal to percent times base. And the little trick that I taught a little earlier was that part is and base, of course, is of. So there's some of the key words we need to look out for. And of course, percent, we'll see a number with a percent sign to remind us that's the percent. In order to do our real world problems, we need to talk about discount. Discount is the amount by which the regular price of an item is reduced. This is something that happens to us all the time while shopping, so it's something good to get practice with and be able to do while shopping. Next up is simple interest. Is the amount of money paid or earned for the use of money. Of course, that equation is I is equal to P times R times T. Let's break down what I means. It's the interest. It's whatever you earn from your money. We'll go to P, which is the principal. It's either the amount that you invested, like in a bank account, or the amount of money that you borrowed, of course, like a loan. R is the rate. Sometimes you'll see it as a percent sign, but we remember we need to change it into a decimal. And then time, our time must be in years for this formula. So if you have months, you got to convert it into a fraction that uses years. And if we get to those problems, we'll talk about them when we get to them. Once again, let's review the concept summary of the percent equation. If you're missing the part, you will see what number is. So once again, what number is means that you're missing the part, and that's what we're going to look for, is the part. If we're missing the percent, obviously what percent will be in our phrase. And if we're missing the base, you'll see of what number. And once again, of clues us in that the base is missing. And those are the three things we'll be looking for in the next couple of examples. All right, we see the problem. Find 52% of 85. So before we begin, maybe I should write down what the formula is from the first couple of pages. You can see here I wrote part is equal to percent times base. And just to remind us, of course, is part. Percent sign, of course, is with the number, and of is the base. So going back to the problem, find 52% of 85. Well, it looks like we don't have an is, so we're looking for the part. That's what we're looking for. We do have the base because of the of, and we do have the percent. Before we begin, we need to deal with the percent. We need to change the percent into a decimal. So we go ahead and drop the percent sign, find out where the decimal is. And what we learned is that it's like dividing by 100. That means we're going to move the decimal 2 places to the left. So our new percent is 0.52. Now we can go ahead and plug and chug. What does that mean? Well, once again, we're trying to find the part. So n is the unknown, or the part. The percent is the decimal that we just made, and the base is 85. We're going to multiply that together. Taking out the calculator, 0.52 times 85 gives me 44.2. That is how we solve the problem using the equation. Alright, 28 is what percent of 70? Let's write down the equation again. Alright, part is equal to percent times base. I have the 28 is, I have that key word is. So I know that I have part, so I'll just go 28 is what percent. So our percent is our unknown, so I'll use an n. And of course we have of 70, so that must be my base, so I'm timesing it by 70. What I'm trying to do is isolate the n. So what am I going to do? I'm going to take the inverse of this multiplication, which is division. I'm going to leave the n where it is, divide by 70. Because it's an equation, whatever I do on one side, I do to the other. And let's see what I get with my calculator. N is equal to 0.4. We are not done. N is equal to a percent, and we haven't changed this decimal into a percent. So how do we do that? Well, let's see here. We take 0.4. Remember from a couple of lessons ago when we changed a decimal into a percent, we multiply by 100. That means I move the decimal over 2 places. 1, 2. That void there, I'll fill with a 0, which means nothing, and that'll be my new decimal. So the answer is n is equal to 40, and to tell everyone it's a percent, we'll put a percent sign. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's the answer. 18 is 45% of what number? So I know that I am using the part. I have a percent, so obviously I'm going to use a percent of what number? Well, obviously that's what we're looking for, so that'll be my variable. I'll use n. Before I begin, I must convert the 45% into a decimal. Drop the percent sign, find out where the decimal is in the number. Remember that we're dividing by 100, so that means I'm moving the decimal 2 places to the left. 1, 2. Get rid of the old, and our new number is 0.45. Let's go ahead and plug that into the formula, remembering that we already have the part. 18 is, there's our new percent, which is 0.45, and we're timesing it by n, because we don't know what it is. Well, once again, I'm isolating the n. Alright, so let's go ahead and divide. I'm going to divide by 0.45 to keep the n isolated. Whatever I do on one side, I do to the other. I find that n is equal to 40 is the answer when I divide 18 by 0.45. So that is the answer. Let's talk about skateboards, or a real life problem, a real world problem. Mateo wants to buy a skateboard. The regular price of the skateboard is $135. Suppose it's on sale at 25% discount. Find the sale price of the skateboard. We're going to have method 1. We'll call method 1 the discount method. Simply put, the discount method is an equation where we are looking for the discount price, which is equal to the percent times the original price. First thing I did over here was change my percent into a decimal. Now I'm ready to plug in everything into the equation and find my discount price. You can see 0.25 times 135, and that will give me a discount of $33.75. I'm not done yet. That's just what they're going to take off the original price. So I'm going to do that next. You can see here I set up this problem here, 135 minus 375. That's going to give me my new price, my discounted price, and that is $101.25. Alright, in the discount method, what I'm doing is I'm taking the discount, multiplying it by the original price, finding out how much money that is, taking that discount money and subtracting it from the original price. That gave me $101.25. Right here we have the same problem. We're going to do it slightly different. We're going to call this the sale method. Roughly put, this equation is the set for the sale price is the percent times the original price. But we're going to go about finding the percent a little bit different. I know that the price is 100%, and I'm going to take away 25%. So that leaves me with 75% of the price. So this is going to go right, get us to the sale price. But before I begin, I need to change this from 75% to a decimal. So what I'm going to do is move the decimal 2 places to the left, and I get 0.75. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this into the equation. You can see I put it in the equation. The sales price is equal to 0.75 times 135. Plug that into my calculator. Sale price is 101.25. So there's two methods to look at when considering discounts. Alright, in this slide we're talking about banking, and when we talk about banking we talk about the real world problem of interest. We're just going to use simple interest, which is I is equal to P times R times T. Suppose Miguel invests $1,200 at an annual rate of 6.5%. How long will it take Miguel to earn $195? First thing I see is invest. So that's the principal. So Miguel invested $1,200. The rate, which is the percent, because percent is always rate, was 6.5%. And before I begin, I'm going to change that by moving the decimal 2 places to the left to get a decimal number to use in this equation. T, well, that's time, and it says in the second sentence, how long will it take? So that's what I'm looking for. And the last thing it says, until it takes Miguel to earn $195. Earning something is your interest. So it's $195. What we do now is plug and chug. So I plugged and chugged. I, my interest, is $195. My P, my principal, was $1,200, times my rate, 0.065. And we're also timesing that by T. We don't know what T is, so that's what we're going to be looking for. Alright, the first thing I did was on the right side of the equation here, is that I multiplied these two numbers together and I got 78. And that still leaves me with 78 times T. I am looking for T, so my next step is to isolate the T by doing the inverse of multiplication, which is division, keeping things equal on both sides. I multiply by 78 also. I see that 195 divided by 78 is 2.5, and the 78's cancel out. That leaves me a T. And just to remind you, from the original definition, time is in years, so our answer must have the units 2.5 years. That is simple interest, ladies and gentlemen.